Parts of the Midwest are digging out after a major snowstorm brought more than a foot of snow in some places. Plus, it could be a record-setting Cyber Monday as Amazon prepares to sell nearly 1,000 items a second.
This is News 3 at noon.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Mark Kane. Dozens of schools in Kenosha, Racine, and Walworth counties are closed today. The area is dealing with blowing and drifting snow after it received several inches yesterday. The state's 511 website has several roads in the southeastern part of the state listed as ice covered this afternoon. The snowstorm caused blizzard warnings across the plains of the Midwest. Northern Illinois also dealing with this major snowstorm. Snow tapered off in the Chicago area today. Early this morning, the storm caused whiteout conditions and dumped more than a foot of snow in the region. Several hundred flights in and out of Chicago were delayed or canceled. The storm was one of the biggest on record for a November in the area. Meteorologist Chris Reese is over in the Weather Center. It all depends where you were with this one.
It really did. Location, location, location. And that's one of the big things when it comes to snowstorms. But this is one that had an insanely sharp cutoff, one of the sharpest snow cutoffs that we have seen. In fact, personally, I drove to Milwaukee this morning to take my mom to the airport, and you get into Waukesha, no snow at all, but then boom, Milwaukee covered in white. But here's the snow over the past several hours, gradually working its way on out of the area. Behind that, we have been left with cloud cover and some light flurries out there. Here's a live look outside right now. You see the cloud cover. The camera not picking up on the flurries, though, but the airport, of course, reporting those. The temperature 27 degrees. And we do have a stiff wind coming out of the north and northwest at about 10 miles per hour. That's actually bringing in a wind chill. So here are the temperatures. For the most part, we're in the mid and upper 20s. Black River Falls a little cooler at 23. The winds coming in, though, anywhere from about 8 to 20 miles per hour across parts of southeastern Wisconsin as that region of low pressure departs. And here's the wind chills that are some of those in the lower teens at that 11, the wind chill right now in Camp Douglas. For Roqua, it feels like 10 degrees right now. But as we go through the day, temperatures are gradually actually going to come down a bit. By 7:30, we should see those temperatures in the upper teens and lower 20s. And then overnight tonight, it's going to be a pretty chilly night with temperatures in the mid-teens for those overnight lows. Now, of course, folks want to know, well, now that the storm hit or did not hit, depending on where you were, what's to come next? Of course, I'll be breaking that all down with an outlook at the pattern coming up.
All right, we'll check back. Thank you, Chris. President Trump is repeating a threat this morning to fully close the U.S. border with Mexico following violence at the busiest crossing point yesterday. Border Patrol agents fired tear gas yesterday on migrants who tried to rush the border between Tijuana, Mexico and San Diego. It started as a protest against the way the United States processes asylum claims. Over the weekend, the incoming Mexican government denied reports of a deal with the Trump administration to keep asylum seekers in Mexico while U.S. courts process their claims. Mexico's interior minister says when police tried to break it up, about 500 migrants tried to illegally cross the border. Most of the migrants come from Central America. Madison's Catholic Diocese will elect a temporary administrator in the coming weeks. Bishop Robert Morlino died Saturday night after suffering some heart problems. He was 71 years old. Morlino served as bishop for 15 years. He was known for his more conservative stances on issues like birth control and homosexuality, but the people who knew him describe him as a warm, kind man who made the Catholic Church better. A political activist in the area says despite their differences on social issues, he and Morlino were good friends. And one soon-to-be priest says Morlino is the reason more men have joined the priesthood.
I wouldn't be anywhere near where I am right now without him. And I'm heartbroken that he won't be there to see the end of the road.
I know that he was controversial in the community, but the really good things that he did were largely not publicized. And that was how he wanted it.
The Vatican will appoint a new bishop, which will take anywhere from 6 months to a year. Oprah Winfrey's mother has died. Vanita Lee passed away on November 22nd at her home in Milwaukee. A spokeswoman for Winfrey says private funeral services were held. Lee was a teenager when she gave birth to Winfrey in Mississippi. They moved to Milwaukee when Winfrey was 6 years old. She was 83 years old. General Motors is reducing its salaried workforce by 15%. as it works to restructure its business. GM plans to reinvest money away from cars that once dominated America's roads and put it into technology it believes will power the future, signaling a shift to self-driving and electric vehicles. GM plans to shut operations at 5 plants in the United States and 1 in Canada. Well, the holiday shopping season is in full swing, and today people are searching for deals online. Today expected to be the biggest Cyber Monday on record. Analysts predict there will be more than $7 billion spent in online sales today. This follows the record number of online sales made over the past 4 days. Amazon says last year it sold 961 items per second on Cyber Monday. This year that number is expected to go up.
I think as you see consumer confidence increasing and the use of online tools, we're just seeing a terrific confluence of events to bring, truly monumental sales activity.
Analysts are also reminding people to use secure internet connections when ordering online. There's more to come on News 3 at noon. Up next, we'll see what Howard's working on in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
If you love lasagna, then you're going to love what we're whipping up today. Just make sure you bring your appetite. You know, lasagna is one of those dishes that we really love. Yet for one reason or another, we just don't make it nearly as often as we'd like. When I ask people why that is, they say, because it's too complicated. Well, guess what? It's not. And today we're going to prove that. After cooking and draining some lasagna noodles, we lay them out on a cookie sheet. While those sit for a sec, we brown a mixture of ground beef and Italian sausage, crumbling it while it cooks. Now, all we do is spread a little spaghetti sauce on the bottom of a baking dish, and the rest of it we add to our skillet. Next, we place 3 noodles over the sauce and top them with a layer of ricotta cheese that we mix with a little Parmesan, an egg, some chopped parsley, and a few spices. We blanket that with some sliced mozzarella cheese, and our meat sauce. Then we repeat that 2 more times, and it's ready to bake. See, I told you it was easy. The big reward comes when you cut through all the layers of the tender noodles, the meaty sauce, and the creamy cheese filling. I hope you'll go online and get the recipe for what we call Meat Lovers Lasagna, so you can whip up this Italian classic anytime you want. I'm Howard with Kelly, our resident Italian in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found an old world way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
All right, so start thinking about your plant and garden questions. Linda Barch from the Bruce Company joins us a little later on to answer them. And parts of southern Wisconsin dealing with snow. Chris Reese joins us after the break with your first alert forecast. Our Call for Action phone bank is open right now, ready to take on your consumer issue. You can call our hotline. Volunteers will help you with any consumer complaints. The number is 608-270-2833. The service is open every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday between 11 and 1. Let's check Wall Street at the noon hour. The Dow Industrial is up almost 200 points. The NASDAQ up nearly 72. Let's check in now with Q106 Farm Director Pam Yankee on this Monday after the holiday.
Yeah.
Back to work.
Yep, back to work. But boy, at least here in the Madison area, we're not shoveling to get back to work. But boy, you didn't have to go very far before weather got to be a big issue. And the reason I bring it up, Mark, I've been chatting with farm broadcasters all across the countryside. You know, there was still a lot of soybeans, a lot of corn, a lot of cotton that were standing in those farm fields where the snow came in. Unfortunately, that is not going to be good news for the farmers that had yet to harvest that. You get farther south, even some areas of Wisconsin, but definitely farther south, the storage issue was what kept a lot of farmers from harvesting their crops, just no place to put it. And that includes soybeans. Now I'm getting reports that many of the crops that are still out there are probably going to end up rotting if they can't get rid of that snow and get that ground firmed up so they can continue to harvest. So although things may be pretty bleak around Wisconsin, just imagine being in that precarious situation a little bit farther south. So the markets today, now the grain trade is trying to paint a little bit more optimism on what could be coming with the G20 summits. That's going to be later this week in Argentina. First time the United States and China might actually be having some conversations. Brian Doherty, who's a commodity broker with Stewart Peterson Group out of West Bend, said, what many farmers may not realize is there are a lot of different dynamics that are at work right now, not just China and the United States, but around the world. He said any one of those dynamics that suddenly changes or at least looks a little bit better could make our 2019 a whole lot more positive. So again, trying to send out that olive branch of hope to those folks that are just now starting to put together their end of the year books and not liking the way the numbers look. You're not going to like the way the dairy numbers look today either, I'm afraid. Fluid milk contracts continue to trend double digits lower. Now we've got to get beyond July of 2019 before we touch $16 milk. Today, barrel cheese was unchanged in Chicago at $1.24. That's about as good as it gets. Block cheese was up just a half a cent at $1.35. And although we are in the throes of the baking season, Mark, our butter today down a nickel at $2.23 a pound. So I guess that means more cookies, more pies, more whatever with butter, because it's going to be a little bit less expensive, at least on the short term.
I think you get 2 thumbs up from these two guys on more baking.
Yes, that's all right. Like I say, fill up every container with cookies that you can. Share, share, share.
Will do. All right, Pam, thank you.
Yeah.
And Chris is here now. I tell you, 50 miles away from here, we'd be dealing with snow today.
Oh, yeah. Like I mentioned earlier today, just driving to Milwaukee to take my mom to the airport. Quite a difference. You couldn't even read the road signs. Wow. Snow just blowing all over them. But some of those totals ended up being fairly substantial, especially through parts of northern Illinois. More than a foot of snow fell in some places. Winds gusted to over 50 miles per hour. So for those who truly got in on this storm, wow, what a storm it was that came through the area. Rockford got in on 10 inches of snow. Lake Geneva just under 10 inches. But then you've got farther to the north and west. And you ended up in places like Beloit, just south of Janesville. Well, the totals were shifted farther south for you guys. And so you only ended up with about 3 inches of snow. But I want to show you guys the past 24 hours looping the radar, just to show you how this storm was a very sharp cutoff. Here it was beginning tomorrow. You see those counties just south of the Madison area. The snow tried in Janesville, but then the storm pivoted and it worked its way towards the east very, very quickly. And now we're just left with a lot of the cloud cover that is out there. We are seeing a few light flurries being reported. The temperature 27 degrees. And we do have a breezy wind coming in out of the north and northwest at about 10 miles per hour as we head into the afternoon. Other temperatures are still the 20s for all of us. 28 in Janesville, Waukesha at 25. We go over to Watoma, it's 26 degrees right now. Black River Falls, always one of our faithful cold spots at 23 right now. But here's the cloud cover over the area. There are some flurries, but we call that low-level moisture, so it's not being picked up on radar, but do know that you might see that going through the rest of today and maybe even into tomorrow as well, as a region of low pressure just spins on top of us. But here's how temperatures will play out. By dinner time, expect them to be back into the low 20s. Some folks may even be into the upper teens. Remember, with the wind, it'll feel about 10 degrees colder out there. Towards tomorrow morning, expect those morning lows to be in the mid to lower teens. 15 degrees is what we are expecting here in Madison. Then through tomorrow, 23 is about as warm as we will get for those daytime highs. Here's that region of low pressure up ahead, just spinning around, keeping that colder air coming in from Canada. But as we look at the pattern as a whole going towards the weekend, we'll actually get a little bit warmer, not substantially, but a little bit warmer towards the weekend. That warm front will bring a chance for some snowflakes with it, oddly enough. And then comes the next round of cold into the first week of December. And notice the cold over the Midwest and the warmth over the Southeast. This we call a baroclinic zone. That means it leads to regions of low pressure that form over Texas and track towards the Great Lakes. So it is very possible, but the storm from yesterday is not the only storm we will see around here as we go through the next couple of weeks. But here's how temperatures will play out, staying below average. And then, of course, this afternoon only topping out right around 28 degrees. Tonight, a cold low right around 15. We will see some sunshine Tuesday and Wednesday, though there will be a lot of cloud cover as well. More snowflakes into Thursday and Friday. By the weekend, that warm front coming in with mixes of rain and snow. And then we watch next Tuesday for a chance of snow. And based on the upper level pattern, that could be another bigger snowmaker for parts of the upper Midwest. Of course, it is way too far for details right now, so of course no one should go buying any bread after what happened. And of course, even still, sometimes you get close and the details are fuzzy. But we're going to watch it. I think it could be a very active December around this part of the country.
All right, keep an eye on things. Thanks,
Absolutely.
Chris. And there's more to come on News 3 at noon. Now's the time to call in with your plant and garden questions. The number 270-9933. Lynn DeBarch from the Bruce Company will answer your questions live on the air when we come back. Linda Barsh of the Bruce Company is here taking your calls at 270-9933. The holidays are here.
Absolutely. And I did bring along a couple of plants that are going to start to be on sale on Wednesday. This lavender that's pruned into a cute little Christmas tree. And then the Thanksgiving or Christmas cactus over on the other side. They're going to be on sale on Wednesday, starting on Wednesday.
And poinsettias?
With sparkles on it.
Yes.
Yes. And we have blue ones too. If you like the blue ones, we have blue ones in the store.
Let's go to the... No comment. Let's go to the phones. We'll start with Jimmy in Madison. Hi, Jimmy.
Hello, Mark.
Hi,
Hello,
what's your
Linda.
question?
Hi.
We have buxom green velvet boxwoods, and these things, with all the rain, have really taken off. When do you prune these? Because they have really blossomed.
All right.
With obviously the amount of rain.
All right. I would suggest that you not do that this time of the year. If we get to March, that would be a good time if you really need to control the size. And typically every summer, if you're trying to control that size, around July, early August is a good time to prune them. I don't like to do it too late in the season because you uncover needles and growth that is not accustomed to this cold temperatures and then can brown out and
So spring. March.
Wait till spring.
Okay.
Yes.
Larry in Madison. Hi, Larry.
Hi.
Hi, what's your question?
I have an orchid that's creating a daughter plant on the stem. How do I propagate that as a second plant?
Okay, when I had that one, I waited until I left it attached to that green stem and until actually little roots developed. And once the roots developed, then I cut it and put it into its own pot.
It's amazing when that happens.
It's fun.
It is fun. All right. Janelle in Blanchardville. Hi.
Hi, good afternoon. Wanting to know about bone meal to be put on the tulip beds at the present time. is it okay to be doing that?
Well, if you have a wood mulch over those tulips, you could sprinkle on the bone meal and rake that in. As long as it's not on a slope and not going to wash away, because now a lot of the soil is frozen, so you can't really incorporate it. But you still can add bone meal, especially if you did it right before that snow, because that snow would come and hold it in place. Yeah.
And that's good fertilizer.
Yes, it is for bone. Yes.
All right, Linda in Oregon. Hi, Linda.
Hi there.
Hi.
Which question?
My question is, I had a beautiful mandevilla out this summer. It was bloomed and vined all over. I had it on a trellis. By the end of the summer, right before I was going to bring it in, the leaves all turned, well, slowly. The leaves turned black, fell off. And now I have it inside. There's no leaves on it, but the vine looks really green and healthy.
Okay.
Is there any hope for it? Was it bugs or something, or is it just done?
No, as long as the stems are still looking green and healthy. That's odd that you had that leaf drop, unless it got exposed to some cold temperatures, because they're going to not tolerate freezing temperatures, certainly. So, but as long as the stem is green, it could actually leaf out. You keep it watered, but not very much, because obviously the leaves are not transpiring.
Just leave it for this time of year and see what happens in the spring. All right, Sharon in Middleton. Hi, Sharon.
Hi.
Hi, which question?
I have some Christmas cactuses in small containers, and one of them is done blooming, and the other ones are blooming. When can I transplant them, and what do I use for soil?
You should use, since that is a succulent, you want to use something that is either cactus or succulent soil. And I would suggest that you wait until closer to spring, because our daylight is just terrible this time of the year. So once we actually start to see some growth on them, then you could repot them. And sometimes after they flower, they start to get some growth, but I usually do it February, March.
And I overwatered mine. I kill those things.
That's too bad. A little too much love, Mark.
Well, I don't have one. All right, we are out of time. If you're on the line, stay there. Linda will talk to you off the air. We'll see you next week.
There you
go. Chris is here now with one final check of your forecast.
That's right. We're drying out after that snowstorm across southeastern parts of the state, but staying cold behind that departing region of low pressure. Temperatures will struggle to get out of the teens and into the low 20s on your Tuesday. Warming up towards the weekend, though, that will come with chances for rain and snow in the area before another cool down arrives as we get you towards the middle of next week. Gonna watch Tuesday and beyond of next week for another pattern that could develop across the country that brings snowstorms for some areas. We'll watch that, see if that remains to have any kind of impact on our weather. But of course, we have several days between now and then to wait and see.
Yeah, and for now, bundle up. It is cold out there with that wind. Thanks for watching. We'll see you back here at 4. In the meantime, have a great afternoon.
Making plans that are weather dependent? Get an accurate 12-hour, even a 10-day forecast. Download the Channel 3000 First Alert Weather app and start planning.